Hi, so it's officially November, which means my favorite time of the year is just around the corner. However, it's also the time of year where I start to feel a little bit more prone to the effects of seasonal depression, which I'm sure many of you can also relate to. You're not alone. The past couple of days, I've definitely had a few moments where I've been feeling a little bit down, a little bit unmotivated, just not operating at my highest self. And I don't like to call it bad days because they're not truly bad days. They're just days that could have been better, which got me thinking, how do we have more good days? And if we're in a bad day or having a quote unquote bad day, how do we shift out of a negative mindset and into a much more positive and fulfilling one? We're only human, which means it's perfectly okay and perfectly normal to fall into low vibe patterns and negative loops. However, it's important to recognize that there is always space and opportunity to return back to self, to return back to that ideal version of you, the ideal version of you that is feeling the best, feeling the most healthy, feeling the most balanced, and feeling completely engaged and present and confident. So, how do we return to that happy and fulfilled version of you? I think the first step in shifting out of a negative reality is really identifying the source. And most of the time, it's simply an intrusive thought or an emotion. Like it could be, you could be enjoying your day, going about your day, and you're just feeling off, feeling like something's lacking or something's not there. Or it could be a trigger, an event, something that happened, something someone said, and it triggers these unwanted thoughts and emotions. So most of the time, it comes from a singular thought. Identifying that is the first step. This thought or these thoughts produce more negative thoughts. They all compound on top of each other, and then that is what creates a negative habit and a toxic cycle that you suddenly find yourself riding this continuous loop that you might be aware of but just can't seem to get out of. It's important to understand that our emotions are indicators, not dictators. We're not victims to our feelings. Just because you're thinking and feeling something doesn't mean that that is the ultimate truth, doesn't mean that you have to believe that to be your permanent reality. One of the most powerful and effective ways that you can shift out of a negative reality is just by first internalizing and understanding that this reality is not you. It's temporary. It's not you. This reality is really just made up of a gigantic ball of negative thoughts and emotions. Feelings and thoughts are not always truth. They are perceptions to how we were raised and what has happened to us. You are greater than the emotional reactive pattern of who you used to be. Don't become a victim to it, and don't allow yourself to be enslaved by your emotions. They're simply there to guide us. We need to mature through our emotions instead of just blindly having these blind reactions to whatever the trigger was. These emotional triggers simply exist to help you understand what is happening with you internally or what might be lacking in your life that you need to add more of, or maybe reduce. For example, if you're feeling a little bit lonely or a little bit underappreciated, maybe it's time to reevaluate when was the last time you called your best friend? When was the last time you spoke to your mom or your sister or your brother? When was the last time you had a deep conversation with your significant other? Ask and have these conversations on how you can bring more love and fulfillment into your life. If you're feeling a little bit jealous of where your peers are, maybe you're scrolling through social media too much because all we see is a highlight reel of other people's lives. This person's just got a new job, they got a promotion, they're traveling the world, they just got engaged, they just had a baby. It's important to reflect on whatever it is that we're feeling and understand why we're feeling them, and then take action off of that. I was listening to an Abraham Esther Hicks podcast, and this really stuck with me. She says that we are always under the influence, which is so true. And I don't mean under the influence of alcohol or substance abuse, nothing like that. But we're literally always being influenced by something, by the people that we surround ourselves with, by the TV shows that we watch, by the books that we're reading, by the content that we're consuming on social media. It's important to understand what we're feeding into ourselves because these may very well be triggers to these intrusive thoughts that we have. You can imagine your brain like a radio station, and every day we're tuned into 5 or 6 or more radio stations. If you catch yourself starting to have a thought or emotion or be stuck in a mood that isn't really productive to you, that isn't making you feel good, it's time to reflect on what stations you currently are tuned into. It's time to reevaluate and reflect. Maybe it's time to change around those stations, let go of old ones, tune into new ones. Feeling unmotivated? Well, then stop scrolling on Instagram and maybe start scrolling on their YouTube videos like this one on how to become more motivated. Start listening to podcasts. Start following and listen to people that inspire you, that make you want to become a better version of yourself instead of make you feel small and unworthy. Guys, it is okay to unfollow people if their content is not bringing you positive emotions. It's completely okay. And it's okay to stop talking to people that are always just Debbie Downers, that don't really add positive value into your life. It's completely okay to do these things. It's actually necessary to do these things. You need to tune into the right stations and tune off to the wrong stations that are just dragging you down and, instilling negative thoughts and emotions into your mind. Okay, so identifying the source of our negative mindsets, processing, internalizing, and reflecting on our emotions, where they come from, maturing through them, moving through them with discipline, understanding the influences in our life. These are all inner work and internal things that we can do to help start making these shifts in our lives. What can we do physically to help us? Number one, meditating. And guys, I used to be one of those people that you could not get me to meditate. I would sit there and fidget and my thoughts are too loud. I just can't meditate. I won't do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to sit down and do it. Now I've become someone who tries to meditate as often as possible, even if it's for 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes can really ground you and make such an impact on helping to not completely shifting your mindset, but at least it triggers that first step into getting there. You don't have to be good at meditating in order to meditate. I'm terrible at it, like I just said. But I like to follow guided meditations on YouTube. I find them so helpful. You can just search and you can find somebody whose voice you find very calming. Sit down outside or at least on your bed, somewhere where you can feel the ground, and just listen to a guided meditation. So it doesn't matter whether you meditate for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for an hour, because even though you meditate for just 5 minutes, it's an opportunity for your mind to sort of slow down, catch its breath, and it can really help you gain new perspective on some stressful situations by just simply taking a pause and breathing, which is another thing. Doing breath work really helps calm your nervous system. Try a breathing technique. And again, you can easily find these on YouTube. I discovered the 4-7-8 technique, and that's the one that I follow. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and then exhale for 8 seconds. Doing breath work really helps reduce the physical stress response in your body. It helps calm the emotional turbulence that's happening in your mind when you're stuck in a negative loop. I like to pair meditation and breath work with repeating positive affirmations. It sounds cheesy, but if you say enough positive things to your brain, you will start believing it. Simply said, you're just faking it till you make it. I like to go on Pinterest because I am pretty bad at coming up with affirmations on my own. At least when I first started out, I just didn't know what to say. Everything felt fake and dumb and silly, so I just look up some affirmations on Pinterest, and here are some that I found very helpful. I am at peace with all that has happened, is happening, and will happen because I know that everything is towards my highest good. I will be more patient with myself. I will remain focused on my goals. Even if I have a moment of difficulty, I will not give up. Everything is working out for me no matter how things look, seem, or appear. All that matters is that my inner vision is firm, strong, and consistent. Even just saying that out loud, I already feel better. So we want to create what I call affirmation momentum. It's the momentum that you get by repeating these positive affirmations to yourself consistently, constantly. These positive mental repetitions can kickstart the reprogramming of our thinking patterns. The more that we can sprinkle these into our lives, into our brains, the more we end up thinking and acting differently. Gratitude journaling is another thing that can help produce this momentum that we need. Start making a list and really focus on all the amazing things that you do have and not what you don't have. Gratitude journaling forces us to remember all the good things that we have in our life and to focus on things that we might have otherwise accidentally taken for granted when we're so tunnel visioned on everything that's not going in our favor or that's going wrong. So these practices such as meditation, breathing exercises, gratitude journaling, affirmations, these are all methods that you can implement to help you close the gap between your current state, which is a low vibe state, and the state that you want to be in, which is a high vibe state. So once you've done that and you still feel like you might need a little bit more, another thing that I like to do is I like to call my best friend. And please don't call up all your friends and just emotionally dump on them. Ask them if they have the emotional capacity to just talk with you and talk it out. But I like to call my friend and just ask her to remind me of all the amazing qualities that I have that I might have forgotten. I feel like we can be so criticizing and so harsh on judging ourselves that the version that we create of ourselves in our mind is not even close to the version that other people see us and believe us to be. It's like having somebody do the gratitude journaling and the affirmations on your behalf. So call up a friend and ask them, do you have time to chat right now? I feel like I'm kind of in a negative space right now and it would really help if we could talk it out. And then ask them, what are some of your favorite things about me? What do you love about me the most? And they might remind you, you're so amazing, you're so kind, you hold such space for people even when you might not have space for yourself. You're always the first to help others. You make me feel like I can be my authentic self around you. I love that I can always feel safe when I'm around you. And hearing this from other people, it helps validate what you already know about yourself, all the positive and beautiful things that you are. Another thing that you can do is to just get your body moving. I'm talking about exercise. And look, you don't have to kill yourself at the gym. You don't have to like bench 1,000,000 pounds or do heavy weightlifting or run like 1,000,000 miles. Even if you just go on a walk, that's still considered light cardio. That's still exercise. Exercise is a scientifically proven mood booster. It releases endorphins, those feel-good chemicals in your brain. So even if you really don't want to get yourself out to the gym or you just don't want to move from the couch, try to motivate yourself to do so. Because what ends up happening is that if you're already feeling down and you don't move from your bed, you don't move from your couch, you decide to order in, you decide to binge watch a show, and you eat a bunch of pizza and a bunch of chips, at the end of the day, you feel even more gross at yourself for being completely unproductive. Even if all you did was go on a walk, at least you got up and at least you moved. You were able to get that energy moving around in your body so you're not just sitting stagnant and stuck in the same place. Try to do things that help move you, like that gap we talked about earlier. Try to do things that help get you from here to here. Don't do things that get you from here to the opposite direction, which is what happens if you decide to binge all day in bed and not move at all. You don't have to run a marathon or get any like work done, but just try to do little things like taking a walk or maybe going for a bike ride. Or if you do want to do some light exercise, like that is just so beneficial for you mentally. I'd say that if you can't even bring yourself to sit down and meditate, or you don't want to particularly call a friend, you don't want to do any of those things, so if you're going to do one thing, exercise. Go on a walk. Just put some headphones in, listen to either your favorite music or maybe put on a podcast that you really like and just get moving, get your legs moving. Getting outside, getting your body moving, breathing in that fresh air, it's gonna help move the negative energy around. And my last piece of advice for trying to shift yourself out of a negative reality is by romanticizing your life. This is my favorite one. Romanticize your life, date yourself. Do things that feel most in alignment with what brings you passion, what brings you happiness. Add moments of pleasure into your life. Adding moments of pleasure is basically just self-care, whether it's at home or it might be a more materialistic form of self-care, maybe a little bit of retail therapy or getting your nails done, self-grooming, hygiene, taking a bath. making an amazing cup of coffee or tea, read your favorite fiction novel, or maybe try a different recipe, a new recipe if cooking is something that you really, really enjoy. Make yourself a really amazing gourmet meal. Essentially, if a friend came up to you and said they're having a bit of a bad day, how would you help them? Would you Uber Eats them their favorite food? Would you buy them their favorite beverage, whether it's coffee or maybe milk tea or a slushie or a smoothie? Do that for yourself. Romanticize your life, romanticize your day. Take yourself out on a date. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, there are always things you can do to make your life, to fill your life with more passion. Even if you weren't able to be productive all day, like maybe you didn't complete your workout routine, maybe you didn't meet a certain deadline for work that you had for yourself, maybe you didn't do your laundry or do the dishes, or you didn't do a deep cleaning of your apartment or your house. Just because you weren't able to have a productive day, it doesn't mean that you should punish yourself. Like, don't deny yourself the pleasures in life. We can definitely hold ourselves accountable, saying, it's really not cool that we didn't get around to the laundry today, but that's okay. I will do it tomorrow or when I get a chance to. Just please don't punish yourself for these things. Just because you didn't do the dishes or fold your laundry doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have a glass of wine and read a book while taking a nice bath. Understand and really believe that you are deserving of these small pleasures, even if you didn't necessarily have the ideal day or like what a successful day might look like to you. It's okay. Whatever makes you feel alive, whatever makes you feel passionate and present, do that. So the more that we can implement these little small habits and introduce them into various aspects of our lives, the more we can reprogram and train our brain to seek the positive in things. And the more we can go from a current state of feeling low vibe and down and off and negative into closing that gap into a high vibe state, into a reality where you feel like your best self, where you feel most passionate and most content and most present. So don't be afraid of these negative mindsets when you feel them start to come on into your life. These toxic, negative cycles are necessary. Life is a cycle, and we have to go through these loops in order to learn, in order to grow, and in order to love ourselves more. It's all part of the process. You have the power to focus on what helps you learn and grow. And I completely and wholeheartedly believe that we are meant to, and we should have, more good days than bad days in this human experience. I think that we are all deserving of it. So just continuously bring your attention and focus to the positive things and the things that you love in life, and that will help gravitate you towards having more of those good days. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it at least helped serve as a reminder that you're not completely powerless when you're having a bad day. Bad days are temporary and good days are coming. It's a universal truth. So stay high vibe, and I will see you in the next video.